Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be creating a JavaScript quiz app which is going to be filtering based on the subject you're doing. So let's get started. As you can see, I already added the index.html file, app.js file, and the stars.css file, and also the audios we're going to be using in this video. I'm going to add a link to my Github repo for the completed version of this in the description below, so you can go and download the audios. So now in the index.html file, I already added the basic HTML header, the doc type HTML, the header, the meta tag. Don't forget to link the styles.css file, and also don't forget to add the script.js file. The first thing we are going to do is add a section with the class name of quiz section. I'm using Visual Studio extension code image. That's why I get applications and nodes. But if you don't have it, you can always type it out of any div, the class name of quiz container. Before I forget, I also added this script tag, which is my font of some icon kit, because I was using font of some icon here. So I got my kit. This is the source, and because I added it, you can always get yours font also, sign up and get your own kit. It's absolutely free. So the next thing we're going to do now is add an heading one, the class name with the name of what's called JavaScript quiz app, and then I'm going to add this the div, the section of the subjects you're going to pick, where you're going to pick if you want to do math, coding, or English. So we're going to add a div with the class name of subjects container, and a paragraph that says pick subject. And then we're going to be using an unordered list. It's a class name of subjects, which contains the list of subjects we're going to use, and a list with the class name of subject. So we're going to be using, let's just put mathematics. We're going to be using a font of some icon here, which is I, and the class name is FA solid, FA chevron. Right. If you don't have the script tag added to the header, you won't be able to access this. So that's it. And let's just copy and paste. I don't have to change this to anything because since I'm going to be adding it dynamically in the JavaScript anyway, so we're just going to use this for styling sake. So I'm going to save that. Now let's go and style. I'm going to style it now, but before that I'm going to run the live server. This is also a Visual Studio Code extension, so anytime I save anything here, I make any changes, let's say this, and I save it, it's going to immediately show here. I don't have to reload the server every time. See, it's already changed, so you can always download the extension. So let's return this back to normal. Now let's go to the styling. Let me reduce, and in the styling I already added, I'm going to be using Inter. That's the font I'm going to be using, and I got this from Google Fonts. You can always go to Google Fonts, then search for Inter, then you can link it to your styles.css. And I also added the colors I'm going to be using. These are the colors I'm going to be using, and this is max width, and that's all. So let me reduce the size so you can see the changes. Okay, so now first thing I'm going to add in is the body, having padding of 0, because the body has some default margin and padding, so we're going to add it, put it to 0. Font family, enter, and sans serif. Then we're going to change the background color to VAR. That's how I access the colors already added in the root main color, and that changes the color. I'm also going to change the color to the light color. Now the another list has a default padding, so I'm going to remove that padding of 0, and then list style of none. The next thing we're going to do is styling the quiz section. So quiz section, just add a comment, it's not necessary. So the quiz, the class name is quiz section. Give it a padding of 30 pixels all around, just to prevent it from touching the elements, touching the screen and all. So just give it the default padding of that, and then the quiz container. I'm going to give it a margin of 0 top and bottom and auto left and right. I'm using this so that I can center it, so that I can put it at the center of the, let me show you, let me give it a background color of red. This is it. The reason for the margin 0 and auto left and right is that it centers it, it puts the container at the center. So I'm going to also give it a max width of VR, max width, max width, and that's 500 pixels. This means is that, so that I had this because I don't want, no matter how big the screen is, the container, the quiz container can never, it will not leave this particular width. It can go smaller, but it can never go bigger than this maximum width that I've given it. So if you understand what I mean. So now we're going to start. Let's remove the background color. Remove it. And now we're going to start the heading one. Since that's the only heading one in everything, so I can just target it directly. But if you have more than one, you can try to next it so that it can be specific. So we're going to text align, center, font width 600, that's bold, and font size of 2 rem. I like using rem because it's almost the same as pixels, but I just feel like it is better. Rem, 1 rem is equivalent to 16 pixels, so 2 rem is 32 pixels. I'm sure if I use 32 pixels, so there's no difference, there's no change in this. So I use rem because I just like it. Now the next one, we're going to give it a margin bottom of 0 so that it can come closer a little. Now, so the paragraph. Most of the paragraph I'm going to be using as well is almost the same. So align, text align, center. So everything, but if you feel like your own, if you feel like any other app you want to create, that not all the paragraphs will need to be text align center, you can just target this one particularly and just nest it like quiz container, paragraph, and all like that. But since all my paragraphs here are going to need text align center, I just generalize it. Now for the subject container, I'm going to give it a margin top of 40 pixels to push it away from the heading one a little. Just push it away a little. And then this subject, you another list of class name of subjects. We're going to give it, is the subject that should have a margin top of 40 pixels, so we can push the paragraph away a little. And then the subject, the next one is the subject. I'm going to give it a border of 2 pixels solid, VAR, the light color, and that gives it a border around it. A background color of transparent, just in case. A border radius of 10 pixels, and then a mean height of 50 pixels. Mean height means the minimum height these subjects can have, which means it cannot go smaller than this, but it can go bigger. Just like that. There's also other ones, mean width, minimum. So we're using mean height here. And then the display flex, so that we can center what is inside. Align items center, so that places the content in it at the center. And then justify content, space between, yeah, and that pushes this away. See, then we're going to add some padding so that I can go away, so that it can be some space between the border and the text. That will be 10 pixels top and bottom and 25 pixels left and right. That is that. And also we're going to give it some margin so they can push each other away a little, which is 20 pixels top and bottom and 0 left and right. And that is it. Now let's change the font width. Let's see if that is needed. Font width, I don't think there's any difference. Let's just leave it font width for 400. And that is it for the basic styling for this. I'm going to add, let's add some over effects, like when you over on it on a desktop or anything. So I'm going to be, because I don't want to just add the over effect, because if I just add it, then all those small screens like that does not have effects, like your mobile phone and all, you just add it when you click on it, and we don't want that. So to prevent that, we're going to use this media over. This is going to check the type of device you're using. If it is a mobile device, then it won't add the over effect. If it is not, it won't add. If you understand, like it checks the type of device. If you're using a desktop that allows over effects, then it's going to add the over effect. But if you're using a mobile app that does not allow mobile over effects, it's not going to add it. So I'm going to do dot subject that's okay. So since we are done with this, the desktop view of this, let's work on the next thing. Let's work on the next one, which is the questions page. To do that, we're going to add a display none to this subject container. Let's add it here somewhere here. Subjects container to display none. So that is not there. So the next one I'm going to be adding now is the questions container. For the questions container, almost the same. We had a div of questions, container, and also a div of questions header. Then a paragraph with the class name of the question. This is where the question is going to be displayed, and that is strong. This will make it bolder, text bolder, question. And then let's just put a dummy one. I'm still going to decide the question in JavaScript. So what is HTML? Then the next one, paragraph. This one will have a class name of score. This is where the score is going to be showed. Also the same, strong score. And then 1 out of 5. Then the next thing we're going to be adding is the unordered list of answers. This is where the answers are going to be displayed. Order the answer and choice. Let's just choice 1. And let's do that 4 times. There are going to be 4 options, 4 choices. And then the last thing, a div with a class name of btns. And then heading 5, because instead of using buttons, I just want to use an heading 5. We're not using buttons. And heading 5 the class name of quit btn, and this one say quit. And then the second one is restart. Next btn, sorry, next, and next question. And that is it. Let's save it. Now we have that. Since we already added some defaults, some default styling to the paragraphs, that's why these are at the center, and that the colors are there. So now let's go to the styling. The questions container. Just like adding this comment so that I can be able to navigate faster. Dot questions, question header. That's going to be a display flex. And why is it not working? Question header. Oh, I wrote questions. It's question. It's not questions. Question header, display flex. The default direction for flex is row. That's why it automatically turns to this. So align items, center, and then justify content, space between. That pushes it away. See, question and then the score. Now let's work on the paragraph. I feel like it is too bold. The question header paragraph, we have a font weight of 300 and a text align start. So they already put the entire paragraph to be center. So let's align center. This is going to be at the center. So I want to change this one. Now the next thing is the answer container. The styling for the answer is actually the list answer. It's actually the same with the one for the subject. So rather than just, let me show you answer, just copy and paste it. Copy and paste. And that is it. The only difference is that this doesn't need justified content space between, it's only one. See, it doesn't need that. That's the only difference. So rather than just writing the same code twice, why not just write it once and just put this comma dot answer. Then we remove this from here. and then we remove this, since the answer does not need justify content. We cut it and just put subject and paste. Now that this has this justify content space between, and also this has the styling it needs, and that is all. Now let's type the buttons. Yeah, dot buttons, display as well, flex, justify content. It's already aligned to the center, so just justify content space between. Next, give it a gap. Justify content space between. And cursor, let's change the cursor to pointer. Now, because this is an 8.5, 8.5s have default margin, so that's why it's like pushing this away like that. So we're going to check the buttons 8.5, and we're going to change it to text align end. Font size 0.9 rem, and give it margin 0, 0, see, margin. That's the default margin. Text decoration underline, just for styling purposes. Nothing needed. Then font weight 300. It's like 2 tick, and that's it. We're going to add over effects on this as well. So let's go. The over effect is also the same, so I just put comma, answer. There's still going to be some changes to this, but we're going to do that later. Doing it now is just going to be confusing. When we get there, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we have the over effect as well. Now again, I'm going to go to the questions. The next thing is the results container, where it's going to show whether you won or lost. So question container, question or quiz, questions container, display. Now that is one as well. So let's go back to this index and add the and then this one is the results section. Also the same, a div with the class name of results container, and also a div with the class name of results, and the paragraph inside that says 4. It also has a class name of final score. Then a paragraph that says, would you like to restart? Question mark. And also a div of btn. I'm also going to use the same class, btns, and a button with the class name of restart, btn, and inside that we're going to put yes. So would you like to get yes, and that restarts it, and then no, and that's the quit btn. So we have 2 quits btns, since I don't be doing the same function, so I use the same class. Now let's save that, and that is it. First, let's work on the result. This 4. Okay, so results container. The first thing I'm going to be adding is some margin because like too close to this, to the header one. So the result container, we have a margin top of 70 pixels. That pushes it away a little, as you can see. Then the next thing, the results. Let's start the results. It has a height of 200 pixels, a width of 200 pixels, border radius of 50%, and then a border of 4 pixels solid VAR green, the green color, and that is it, circle. And then to put the text at the center, we have a display of flex, align items center, justify content center. That places it at the center. And also a margin of 0 top and bottom, auto left and right, so that I can center it. So now let's dial the final score, the paragraph, final score. That's the color, the font color if you have the green, and then a font size of 6 rem. That's like 6 times 16. I don't know the math. So the next thing I'm going to be targeting this particular paragraph, so that I can put the margin, so that I can push away the buttons and this result. So the result container, the direct child, which is a paragraph. For this paragraph, it is not the direct child. So for this the only paragraph that is the direct child. So I have a margin of 30 pixels top and bottom, 0 left and right. That pushes them away a little. Now the next thing, I'm going to take care of the buttons, the button. I'm going to have a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom, 15 pixels left and right, a width of 30%. I'm using percentage so that it can like change depending on the size of the screen. And then border radius of 8 pixels, and also a border of 2 pixels solid VAR light color. And then the color will be VAR light color, the text color, and the background color will become transparent. That is it. And also the font size 0.95 rem, just a little bigger. This is smaller, and have a mean width of 100 pixels. This is the minimum width. Since I'm using percentage, the size, the width of the button is going to be reducing based on the width of the screen. So adding a mean width means that once it gets to 10 pixels, it cannot go lower than that. It cannot go lower, but it can go bigger but not lower. So that then to fix this spacing between them, since I'm using the same class of buttons for both of them, for these buttons and the one in the questions container, we're going to add some changes. So we're going to do result container, then the buttons dot buttons, justify content center. So it's only going to be at the center. Can you see that? And then some other things, we're going to add a gap of 10 pixels, so it can space in between, and then a flex wrap of wrap, a flex wrap. This is going to allow the buttons to wrap when it's not like containing both of them again. It's going to then stack over each other. So that is all for it. Now we're going to work on the small screen. To do that, I want to show everything so that I can like work on it together rather than just displaying on display. So I'm going to look for these ones and comment out the display none, and for this one as well. So they're going to be on top of each other. Let's see. Save. So that's everything. So now we're going to have on this small screen, and that is it. This is the, you see, this is what I was talking about, the max width. See, the width of the container is going bigger no matter how big the screen is. So let's see. And it looks okay. And at this point, let's just reduce some things. Let's go at media screen. Media screen. The max width at the maximum width of, that's what it means, at the maximum width of 450 pixels. So everything, all this styling should work on it until it reaches a maximum width of 450 pixels. When you reach that point, then the styling should not work again. So we're going to change the header one, reduce it a little, font size of 1.5 rem. It was 2 rem before, let's do this 1.5. The subject, that subject, this single subject, let's reduce the font size as well to 0.95 rem. It was initially, I think it was initially 1. And then the result, this is like too big. I'm going to change the width to 120 pixels and the height to 120 pixels. And then the final score as well, change the font size to 3 rem. And then that's all. Okay, and I want to check what will happen if this question happens to be longer than this. This is its question. Rem 20. So just say that doesn't really look very pretty, so let's reduce it. The question header, let's change the flex direction to column, so now it's now on top of each other, and then the align items to flex that. So that's it. And then the question header, let's reduce the margin of the paragraph to 10 pixels top and bottom, 0 left and right. And I think that's okay. That's all. So let's return back to normal. Save. And that is all for the styling. Now we're going to go to the JavaScript. The app.js file. I already added the dummy data that I'm going to be using, the subject, the questions. It's an array of objects, and that is it. You're going to get it. You can copy and paste it from the repo, the completed version of this in my repo. I'm going to put it in the description below. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I need the notification bell so I can get notified anytime I post a new video. So the first thing we're going to be working on is the subjects. I want to get the subjects, this from the, I'm going to get all these subjects in the array from the, I just don't want to add it. I just don't want to add it to the index.html file. What if it changes? What if I decide to add maybe physics or add any other subject to it? So I'll have to be changing it in the index.html file again. So we're going to do it dynamically. So we're going to create a function called getSubject. I like using arrow functions. I don't know, I just got really used to them. But you can also use the normal function, which is this function, then write the name getSubject, then this. But I prefer using, I just like got used to using this. So the first thing we're going to do is get the subject from the data. So const subject, the variable name, subject is equals to, you take the quiz data, this quiz data, then you map through it using the map function. So this will go through the list, the array, to map through every single array, every single object in the array. So each quiz, I'm going to go through the data. We're going to pass in a function. You're going to pass an arrow function in this case. So I call this data because I just found it easier. You can call it anything. You can call it apple, whatever, anything you like. So we're going to check this, map through the data, let me show you, and then let's console log the data so that I can show you. Go to the console. I forgot to invoke this. Then invoke the get subject. My bad. Okay, there it is. Each array, each object in the array, if this was more, if I had added physics or anything, to be 5. So this is everything. It mapped through the array, then returned every single data in it. So what we need from the data is the subject. So what we are going to do is we are going to structure it. So that will be const subject. Remember, if you are doing object destructuring, the name you're getting must be the same with what is here in the array. So subject is equals to the data. So this, let's log it. This will return this subject. See, my heart code in English. But if you should change the name or make a mistake or anything, if you should make a mistake, it's going to be undefined. The name has to be the same. You put the curly braces, pass in the name, and equate it to the equals to the data. So that's the subject. So now we're going to return a template string. Then let's go and copy and paste. Just copy this and then paste it inside the template string. This. So we're going to join it so that I can add it to the inner HTML file. To join it to it, we're going to put the dot join and pass in an empty string, and that converts it. That puts an empty string, converts it to a string. Then we have to put it in the HTML. Then we'll put dot join, putting an empty string. So now we're going to put it in the inner HTML. We have to get the container, this subject that is containing all the list. So we're going to go to here. We're going to get it const subjects container. Is equals to document dot query selector. I like using query selector because like easier to use. You can also use get by class name, by ID. I prefer query selector. Then you pass in the dot, which represents the class. If it was an ID, you put the hash. So dot the class name, which is subjects. So now we're going to put that container, the container subject dot inner HTML. This adds the HTML file, whatever is gotten from here, from the subject. So it's going to be the subject. Then after doing that, you should see the changes made. See, that's changed to math, English, and coding and English. I can even remove everything here and it won't be affected. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Remove all this and save. See, it is added in the JavaScript. So the subject container, with the inner HTML of the subject container, again passing the subjects, and that is the reason why I'm using the dot join. If you don't add the dot join, let me show you. This is what's going to look like, the commas. So dot join empty string. That is all. So we got the subjects. The next thing we're going to work on now is the clicking event. When you click on this, it's going to take us to this place. So we're going to go back to the styling and then put display none on everything, on the display none on the question and the result. Display none. So we're going to add a click event on this. When you click on this, it's going to add a display none to this and then a display block to the questions container. First, we have to make a class name for that. So go to other classes. So this is the dot show. I'm going to call it dot show class, and that will be display block. So anytime I add this class to any of the containers, it's going to show the container like this. Now if I add the show here, you're going to see, and if I remove it, so we're going to be adding that dynamically in the app.js file. We cannot get this subject, this list subject, from just putting it here, since it is no more in the doc, it's no more in the index.html file. We cannot do that. We cannot access it from here. But where can we access it from? From where it was gotten from, which is this place. So inside this function, we're going to, this is the only place we can access this particular list, this class subject. So we're going to do const subject containers. I'm really bad at naming, but that's like the only thing I can name it. This is subjects container and this is subject containers. Wow. So document dot query selector all. We're using query selector all because it's not one class. It's just, the class is not only one. It's not just subjects. There are like 3 subjects. So if it was only one, like it was unique, just one, like this subject is only one subject, you use query selector. But if it's like more than one, like this one, use query selector all. Then you pass in subject, that's the class name. Remember to put the dots to show that it is a class. To show that it is a class. So subject, since more than one, we're going to, I want to add the click event. We're going to add it on each of it. This is like a list of all these subject container. So subject container dot for each subject container, since it is more than one, for each container. You can also name this anything you want. It doesn't have to be container. So container, each container, we had an event list now. We're adding the click event, and then the click event, we're adding an arrow function. You can also add a normal function here, but as I told you, I just really like using arrow functions. So when you click on this, you're going to put the subject container, like this particular container, and we're going to take the questions container, and we haven't added that yet. So questions container, equals document dot query selector, and the class name is questions container. That's the class name. So questions container dot class list dot add the show class. So anytime you click on any of the container, we take the questions container and add the show class to it. Let me show you. So when I click on this, so that added the show class to this. But since we want to, after adding the show class to this, we want it to go away as well, so that this can be shown. So we're going to go back to the styling and put display none for this as well, for the subject container. But we're going to add the show class here since we want it to be like the first thing. So we're going to add the show class to this, and that is it. So anytime you click on this, any of it, it will add the show class to the questions container, and then remove the show class from the subjects container. Remove the show class. So anytime I click this, there's an error. Let's see. But I think I know what the issue is. This, I said subject container, and this is targeting the subjects class, which means this list, not the entire container. So I think I have to change some things. I'm going to change the naming. Let's change this to subjects list, like the list of subjects, and this subjects container is going to be the subjects container. So we're going to change some things from subject list container to subject list. So I think that's all. That's really the place we're going to change it. So we're going to change this to subjects container. So this should work now. So when you click on it, see, yeah. Anytime you click on any of it, you remove the show class from the subject container, but you add the show class to this. So I hope you understand. Sorry about the mistake and all. It's really hard naming. So now the next thing we are going to work on is getting the questions. This question and then the options. I have to get the questions. So we're going to create another function. Let's call it get questions. So in the get questions, we're going to find the questions based on the subject we pick, if it is math, coding, or English. So the first thing we're going to do is find questions. So what we're going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is create a global function, a global variable. So let subject equals to an empty string. This subject is the subject, whichever subject you click on, and to get that, whenever you click on the container, you have to get the subject. So to make it easier to find, we're going to add an ID here. ID, we're going to make the name of the subject this, the ID. So the ID of each and every subject container will be the subject itself. And let's put this to lowercase to avoid any errors based on maybe one is an uppercase or one particular string is an uppercase. To avoid that kind of error, so I'm going to put everything to lowercase. So now I'm going to go here, the container.add event listener. Whenever you click on it, whenever you click on the container, I want to get the ID of that container, and to do that we're going to add here, this is the event variable. So const, so we're going to, sorry, not const, the subject, the global variable that we created equals to the event dot current target, which means the current target you're clicking on, what you're currently clicking on dot ID, the ID of it. So I hope you understand. So let me show you. Let's log subject. So whenever I click on this, can you see math? Whichever you are clicking on at the moment, if it's coding, so that's the subject. So it goes back to the get questions function, and then we're going to do const subject questions is equal to the data, quiz data dot find the third. Then you pass in a function. That's where you write what you are looking for, what you wanted to find based on. So I'm going to pass in data, just like I said, you can put anything. So you're going to do an if statement. If the data dot subject, the data is also the same as what we found before when we're using the map. Each data, let me show you. And let's invoke this get questions. See, it's the same. So if the data dot subject dot to lowercase, we are going to put this to lowercase as well to avoid case errors. So is equal to, we are comparing this to the subject, the global variable, then you return that data. You return only that particular data, else just do nothing. So let's log subject questions. So we're going to take this and put it here in the click event. So whenever you click on any of the container, you get the subject here, then you pass the subject here in the find, and then you consolidate it. So let's try it out. Click on math. See the subject, mathematics, and the questions. So the next thing we're going to do is destructure it. We're going to get everything we need from this array So these are the questions. So the first thing we need from the subject questions is array. So const questions is equals to subject questions. So we are this, sorry, not an object. So this, we get the questions from here. Whenever I click this, so to get the questions inside the array from this, inside the subject questions array, the object that is named questions. So now let's log questions. I like logging everything I do at each step so that I can know where I am or what I'm getting back. So when I do this, can you see this, the questions on maths, and then inside the questions array we have the question itself, the options, and then the correct option. So we're going to destructure from that as well everything we need. Const, we're going to need the question, the options, and then the correct option, and that is equals to questions. We're getting this from the questions this time, not the subject's question. And one thing about this is that the questions there are 5 questions. So from index 0 to 4, if I just do this, there will be an error because there is more than one question. So where are we looking for this? We're going to put in the index 0. So at index 0, which means the first question, destructure this out. We're going to get this dynamically later on, but for now let's just use 0 for the first question only to see how it works. So now let's go to here and access the question container. This place, this one, we give it the class name of question. So here I'm going to go const question container. Note it's question container, not questions. So document.query selector, then we'll pass in the class name was question. So here, so question container dot inner HTML is equals to the question. No, it's equals to this template string. What is it? The question. Yeah, this. So we're going to add it inside the template string. We have the strong tag, and then this is where the question will be. Question. Save that. So anytime I click on this, see, changes. This is the question. Find this. That's the first question. And then the options. Let's log it to show you. The option is also an array itself. Array of options. So see, this is an array. So we'll take the options. I'm going to name a variable const options list. The list of options is equals to, you take the option, then you mark through it. Each option. For each option, you are going to return a list item which you are going to get from here. So paste it there, and this place is where the option will be. Passing the option, and then remember dot join with empty string, and then the options. So now we have to get the options container, which is this answers. So let's go here and get it. Just copy and paste and change some things. Options container, passing the class name was answers. So options container dot inner HTML is equals to the option list. Save that. So now every time I click this, I have the options. But notice, anytime I click this, I have the options. But notice this is just for the first question at index 0. To get the remaining questions, I'm going to have to do some more work. So to do that, we're going to get the next button. So let's get that. Next btn. The class name is also next btn. So we're going to add a click event on this, which is next btn dot add event listener. So anytime I click on the next, something is going to happen. But before that, the first thing we're going to do is add another global variable, which is going to be called index. This is the index of the question, and for the first question is 0. So here, instead of adding questions at index 0, we just pass an index. So anything in the index will be the questions that we get. So anytime you click on the next button, we're going to increase the index. It will be index plus 1. We add 1 to it, but you can write it like this, but better still, index plus plus. This adds 1 to the index. So anytime you click on it, it adds 1 to the index. And then we get questions over again. Once you add questions to the index, you want to run it, because when you add index to the question, when you increase the index, you want to get the next question as well. So you run the get questions here as well. So when you click on this, when you click next question, see, it gets the question, but then it gets to a point where there is no more question. The index is like greater than 4 already. So this is the place there will be an error. So to fix that, we'll do an if statement. We'll do an if statement if the index is greater than 4, which means it has reached the 5th question, is greater, then the index should be equals to 4. Just stay at that particular point. Just stay at index 4. Nothing should change. So there will be no error. So that is it. Next. It gets to this point, it stays at 4. So the next thing we want to work on now is getting the correct answer from the list. To do that, we're going to go to the get questions function. Like the other time, the only place you can access the list of answers is from this place where we assigned them. So here, we're going to get all the list of answers. As I already called this options container, so I'm just going to change it to answers. So const answers list. The list of answers is equal to document dot query select all. Select all answer. So answers list dot for each answer we add a click event. So answer dot add event listener, click, and then we need the event variable, because when you click on it, we need to get the exact target. Then we're passing, let's pass in a function, because I don't want everything, the functions are getting really big. So let's get another function. I'm going to call it handle, click, and we're going to pass in the events and then the correct option. This is correct option here. So now let's create the function. Let's create it above this place. So const undo click equals, we're going to pass in the get the e and also the correct option. So now I'm going to get the current target. So I'm going to call it const info container. I'm really running out of names here, so just bear with me. Okay, that's the event.current target. That will be the info container. So whatever I click at that particular moment, whichever list I click at that particular moment, is the info container. So let's check if the info container dot text content, which means the option, the text in it, the answer, is equal to correct option. The correct option is currently, some of them are in numbers, some of them are in numbers, some of them are booleans, can be. So I'm going to change it to string, dot to string, change it to string so that it can be equal to whatever it gets here, because text content is a string. So if they are equal, then log, let's check the console, log console.log correct, else if it is not equal, log wrong. So let's see. So for the math, wrong, wrong, correct. So this is the correct option, wrong, wrong. So we get that. So whenever this is correct, we want to do some things whenever this is correct. But before that, there's something we have to do, because even if the person picks the correct option, that doesn't stop the person from picking another option. You see, like once you click this correct option, see it's correct, fine, it's supposed to stop there. You shouldn't be able to click other options again, like then the person will be able to change the answers and all. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use another global variable. So let's still playing equals true. We are still, that is when you are like still playing the game, like you're still choosing the options. So let's still playing the true. So anytime you click on any of the option, you anytime click and do the click on any of the option, you check if still playing is not true. That's the meaning of this. If still playing is not true, that's why I put this exclamation mark, which means if it is not true, then return, which means do nothing. If it is not true, do nothing. Then at the end, set still playing to false. So this will check if still playing is still true. Then immediately you click on it, you should check if still playing is true. If it is not true, it will not do anything. But then to set the still playing back to false, if you understand, then we'll go to the next button, because when you click on the next button, anytime you click on the next button, you want to set the still playing to true, so that it can show that person is still playing the game. But the moment you click on any of the option, it will set the still playing to false, so you can only click it once. So I click on this, and then see, I can only click it once. only once, because the still playing has been set to false. Immediately I click on this, so I can only click one wrong answer, one correct answer. I can't click more than once. And when I click the next button, it sets it back to true, so I'll be able to click again. Wrong, then I'll be able to click again. Okay, so now we're going to work on the class to add when it is correct or wrong. So we're going to go to the styling under other options, under other classes. Let's go down under here. We're going to add the win and lose class dot win. We're going to give it a border color of green, var green, and then a text color of green as well. And then for the loose class, we're going to give it a border color of red and the text color of red as well. So that is the win and the loose class. So anytime you click on the info container, we are going to get that particular option you clicked on. I'm going to get the class list, and I'm going to add win, the win class. I'm going to add the win class, and then for the else, I'm going to add the lose class. If you do not win, I'm going to add the lose class. So when you click on this, see, that's the lose class. And you see an issue with this is that there's still an over effect on it, cause on the option. So we don't want to have that, so go back to the styling, to the over. This is the styles I said that we're going to add later. What we're going to do is that we're going to add this over effect. We're going to check if the answer has the class name of win or lose. If it does not have it, then add this over effect. But if it has it, then don't add the over effect. So we're going to use the not selector. I'm going to check for the win class, comma, and the lose class. So any of the answers that has the win class or the lose class won't be given this over effect. But if not, if they don't have the win and they don't have the lose, they give the over effect. So see, this doesn't have the over effect, but this does. The same for the win. So next question. Let's see which answer is correct. I think this. So we added the win, no over effect. Okay, that is it. Now we remove the console log. The next thing we are going to work on now is the we have the right answer and the wrong answer. Now we have to work on the score. So we create another global variable. Let the score equals to 0. So here in the questions, sorry for the coming and going, here in the undo click, when you check when the info container, when the answer is correct, then the score, you add 1 to the score, just like the index 1 plus plus. We only add this when the answer is correct. Then but we can't see it now because we haven't added the text. We haven't gotten the score here. So let me copy this because I'm going to need it. Let's get it. Score container. The class name is score. So here, when you get the questions, when the whole thing starts, the first thing you're going to do is get the score container, the inner HTML, then you place this template string, then place this, and this will be score over 5. So let's copy this because I'm going to add it some other places as well. So make it show to show the change, we have to go to this place, to the undo click. You have to go to the undo click. When it is equal to each other, then paste this. So if I got, see, 1, next question, I got it 2, so that increases the score like that. Now the next thing we're going to work on is the result page. After getting everything and getting to the last one, next question, and when we get to the last one, what happens next is we're going to get the result container from the index.html file. So this is like jam-packed. So const result container equals document dot query selector. The class name is result container. And one more thing we also need is the final score. Final score is equals to document dot query selector. This is where the score, the final score, will be shown. So when we're going to get this function done is in the next button. When you click on the next and get to the last one where it is greater than 4 and you get to the last question, then you want to add the show. Then you want to add the show class to the result container and remove it from the questions container. So we're going to do result container dot class list dot add the show class, and then we remove it on the questions container. Question container dot class list dot remove the show class. The issue that will happen with this is that we're putting the get questions before the condition, so this will have run before actually checking if it is greater than 4 or not. So we have to bring this down here. So we first check the condition. If this is greater than this, run this, then run the get question if the condition is met. So let's try math. This next question, and then that. So next thing we want to do is add the text here. So the final score dot text content. I'm not using inner HTML for this because I'm not going to be adding any HTML file. I'm just adding numbers. So you have to just do score dot to string, and that is it. So whatever I get, 0 because I didn't answer any question. So that is that. And the last thing we want to do about this is check if you won or lost. So if the score, since there are 5 questions, so if the score is greater than 2, which means it is 3, 4, 5, then the result. Then we want to add, if it is greater, I want to add the win class or lose class to this div here, and that's the result div. So we're going to also get that. I'm going to call it result. Result. And go back down. If it is, then we'll do result dot class list dot add the win class, else, which means it is less than 2, we want to add the lose class. So if you get this, you lost, so it got 0. So the issue with this is that the styling is not touching this final score. So I'm going to go to the styles. So the main class dot final score, we have a color of green, and the loose class dot final score, we have a color of red. So that changes the color. One more thing we'd like to do is that next thing I'd like to do is working on the would you like to restart yes or no function, which means the restart button and the quit button. So I'm going to get those. Wow, I've even gotten a lot of things. So const restart btn is equals to document dot query selector, the restart, since there's only one restart button, and then const quit btns, because there's two quit btn, quit dot query selector all, then we'll pass in the quit btn, that's the class name. So like at the bottom, the last part before this, I want to get you. I want to work on the restart between the restart between dot add event listener. Adding the click event. Once you click on it, we want the result container. We want to remove the show class from it, so it doesn't show. Remove the show class and then add it to the questions. Since we are restarting the same question, so we're going back to the questions container. Let's add the show class, and then want to set the score back to 0 and accepting, and then still playing back to true, and then the index back to 0, setting everything back to default. Then we get questions, index back to 0, and then get questions. So let's do next. Would you like to restart? Yes. Start again from the beginning. So the next one, the quit buttons. So quit buttons dot for each button, I'm going to add an event list now. So when you click on this, the result container dot class list, remove the show class, and then the questions container dot class list dot remove the show class. So remove the show class from everything, but then the subject container dot class list dot add show class. So this goes back to the beginning where you ask for which subject you want to do. And then as usual, set the score back to 0, the index back to 0, and then still playing back to true. And that is it. You click on this, and this is the quit button. You click quit, it goes back. And there's an issue. So next, when you click quit, it goes back. And also next question. When you get here, would you like to restart? No, it goes back to the beginning. So that is that. So the only thing left now are some adding the sound effect and some little changes. The first thing I want to work on is this. the next button. So it says next until you get to the last. When you get to the last one, I want it to change from next to show results when you click on the last one. So we're going to go to the undo click. We're going to go to the we're going to go to the undo click and check if the index is equal to 4. That means it's at the last question. Then next button dot text content is equals to show result. So when I click this, and I click next, and I get to the last question and I click on it, the answer is still show results. But one issue is that, see, when I click on the restart button, it's still showing show results. So I have to change that in the restart button. So the next button dot text content is equals to, change it back to next question. Same thing for the colors copy, same thing for the quotes between, and also when you start the game here, immediately you start getting the questions. One more thing I would like to fix is that, can you see I've been doing these things just next without answering the question. But I don't want that. You have to answer the question. So to do that, let's go to the styling and then target the next button. Let's go to the right place. It should be under here. You can put it anywhere though. Should be under questions container. Yeah. Dot next button. We're going to add display none. So we're going to be using the show class. So initially it has a display of none, but anytime you undo click, anytime you click on any of the answers, is it undo click here, I just add it to the beginning. Anytime you click on it, then the next button dot class list, then you add the show class. So when we go to the next button, wow, there's so much code, I can't even find it again. Undo click, the next button. So when you click on next button, once next button dot class list, once you remove the show class, so once you click go to the next question, you remove it again. So you answer next question, remove it, answer, and that's, so you have to answer the question before moving to the next one. So that is it. Let's see, what else do I want to add? Okay, so the last thing we're going to be adding now is the sound effect. So to add that, I'm going to go to the top, just like doing this step by step. So we're going to add in the sound here. So let audio 1, the first audio, equals new audio. New audio. We're going to do, since we're adding 4 audios, the win, the click when you win, and the lose. So audio 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio 1 dot source is equal to, put it inside the sources. You add the where it is in the folder. This is inside the audio folder, audios folder. So you do audios slash the name, which is error. For the first one, I'm going to make it error win.wav, copy and paste 4 times. This one is win, this one is success, such weird names. So this one is for audio 2, audio 3 and audio 4. So I hope I got the directory right. So for the first audio, we're going to be adding it when you lose, because that's the error when you make a mistake. So we're going to do the undo click if this is correct, but if it is not correct, then audio 1.play. But if it is correct, then audio 2.play. So if you should lose, if you should win, get that sound. If you should lose, get that sound. Now the last one is after you finish all the questions, and that will be in the score. So when the score is less than, when it is greater than 2, that's when you win. So the audio 3, you play the audio 3, but when it is less than 2, you play audio 4. So let's try that. Lost. That's not sounding. Let's see. Audio 4, what's the name? Oh, these ones are not with their MP3. So let's try that again. So that is it. Then if you win, but see, this is another issue. When you restart it, it is still red because the loose class is still there. So you have to fix that by going to the score, the next button. What is it? Next, you're going to go to the next button. So if the score is greater, you're going to first remove. You would first remove the loose class. If it is there, you first remove it, then you add the win class. And same for this. You first remove the win class. And I'm going to do the same for this info, this place, just to avoid any. So you remove this, remove the loose class, you remove the win class, and that is all. I think that is everything we have to add. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.